Hello, this is Jon Miller, the creator of The Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in this series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 188, Throwing Rocks.
Hey, you.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest. I'm Jon Miller. Here we are in season 6, and I'm joined as always with Brian Block. How you doing, Brian?
Great.
Last episode we were at Concordia, but Concordia is not where you guys ended up staying. You ended up making a base camp further up towards Broad Peak, right, Brian?
Yes, absolutely. And we opted for a specific Broad Peak base camp because that was the majority of the people on our trip. And then later on, we actually moved our base camp up. Some people will opt to set a camp kind of in the middle of the two and migrate back and forth, but it just adds a lot more walking both ways. So we just set up one directly underneath the start of the climbing.
Yeah, so we'll actually see what the beginning of the climb looks like this week. But anyway, let's get to it. So let's head back up towards just out of Concordia, and let's rejoin the approach. So here we go.
Today we're out wanding the route on the way to the start of the route on Broad Peak.
So what does that mean by wanding?
There's a lot of, this is all moving glacier, so there's a lot of crevasses along the way. And so even though it's not technical terrain, making sure to put in,
putting little
all
down.
the wands where these big gaping maws or man-eaters, as we'd call them, would be. And it would change throughout, the time we were there. But just having a direct line where we knew it was fairly safe and consistent and finding places across, some of the glacial water crossing.
Got a couple of high altitude porters along with Chris, going up to start fixing some lines directly from the bottom of the route. As you can probably see, it's never quite as steep once you get up close. Talking 45 degree. But unfortunately that also means it's AVI prone. It's part of the route going up. Got a little bit of cloud cover today. Made it super warm last night.
Yeah, but no wind. Really nice.
Yeah, unusual.
So, yeah, personally, just enjoying it. Good to finally get out of the tent and get something done. Sounds like we're going to get 2 days of weather. But right now we just got clouds and real warm temps. So, can't complain about that at all. Having just a little bit of trouble with the sat phone. Haven't been able to call home. When I have, it hasn't been able to connect. So, that's been a little frustrating, I'm sure, for me and Vanessa and, everybody back home. Did get a couple of gabcasts out, so that's been nice. Hopefully people are able to follow that. So now just getting a little exercise, starting to stretch the lungs and the legs, which is ideal. And so we'll just keep wandering the area out. Apparently it's about an hour hike, but I don't think it'll probably take like 15 minutes. For what we've covered so far, I think that I'm gonna be moving pretty fast by comparison, and should be pretty good. Excited to have Fabrizio join the team and start working with him a little bit, and starting to actually feel like climbing. K2's in full view. It's kind of obscured by light cloud, but man, the weather here's been perfect so far. Hopefully we can have like 4 weeks of, moderately good weather, and that'll make our chances real good and make things go real fast. I'll be home before I know it.
Famous early predictions.
Yeah.
Here they go.
It's one of the hazards of the job, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to be optimistic,
last year it was probably right about here, but it's obviously changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Up.
Just because
Towards
it
the
sits
end.
up a bit higher, so
Yeah.
if anything
Yeah.
comes down, it won't.
Yeah.
I'm totally off on my timing here.
Towards the end of the season.
You've already made it to base camp, and now this is the beginning of the climb.
Down here where it just
Yeah, we wouldn't rope up necessarily for any of this. Other than in a couple of instances where there's the large crevasses, but we're basically putting in our advanced camp, I guess. We wouldn't actually sleep here unless, some kind of situation arose. But this is where we'll cache our crampons and helmets and technical axes and things that we don't need to carry back and forth to camp.
25 kg.
Jeff. Morning, Mr. Stevens. Morning.
Did you do it?
I guess we are.
I did finally watch that YouTube video. As idiots are, I get it now. It's very funny.
Yes. It's a big running joke throughout the trip. We're working here. We're at 16,000 feet plus, so it's
You're feeling it at this point.
yeah. For just coming in and slowly acclimating.
So what's a good word, gentlemen? Yeah?
Ah,
Yep is the good word.
It's nice to get out the tent, eh?
Yeah. I concur.
Another day in that tent and I was about to eat my arm.
I think the term for the day is just go up.
Stretch the legs, stretch the lungs.
Yeah.
Get the boots on.
Yeah.
First wear the boots.
Yep. Pretty excited about them. They feel pretty good.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
What's the word from Club Sportiva? Very nice.
Very nice.
Can I touch? Very excited.
Getting a little bit of break for the
How
sun.
much?
It's cheap. Pamela. Being wary of rockfall. Of course, we didn't bring our helmets. Always bright.
Don't tell your wife that, dude.
Too late.
This is the cold, the start of the actual climbing. Where they're fixing some rope.
Yeah, your wife actually watches the show. Doesn't pretend to
No,
watch it.
actually. Yeah.
Once that route gets worked out a little bit more. Crampons, helmet.
So there were teams from several different countries.
That'll save you.
We were the majority of the team. I think, we had 19, 20 people, 21
Sorry.
people all together. And I think the other biggest team was probably 6 small
Was it
Russian
behind
teams.
these rocks.
That's right, Tom.
So we were actually the first ones there, put in the first fixed lines.
Is that what you're
Yep,
playing?
two's up there on the call.
Well, not for long.
Switches back above there. Goes up into that.
Well, welcome to join in. I'll take anything.
And then to the right side and 800 meters across the back side is the summit. Over 5,000 meters, probably 50. Where are we at there?
We're about 5,050 meters.
5,050.
And maybe about 20,000 feet.
Yeah.
You Americans out there?
That's not 20,000 feet.
No, but it just sounds more. So. That's why I use feet.
I was like-
Because it sounds more.
Because Denali's 6194. And that's 20,327.
Denali's about 6'2". That's
Yeah.
20,000.
Three-
That's 20,300 feet.
Yeah, 327 feet. Something like that.
Just over 6,000 meters.
So what do you think so far? Gonna be a good climb?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
a good team.
It's not as high.
I'm feeling really good. How about you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I want to go for it.
That's good. Yeah, I'm feeling good actually.
Yeah. Felt easy. I got warm, which was nice,
Yeah, I
but
got
I'm a
really
little
warm.
overlayered. And it is really warm out this morning. Holy smokes.
Cold last night, though, wasn't
No, I didn't notice.
it? In bed. Oh, no,
I never even, I just had my bag over me.
in the tent. No, just dinner. Going to,
Oh, yeah.
I should have just worn more close to the dinner tent.
That is a totally new design, actually.
That's the
It is, trust me. Yeah,
I haven't seen the old one.
yeah, I know.
Well, it's
I
the
know
first
pretty well.
first of
What
many
you
of
got there, Tom?
the views of K2 from this climb.
K2.
Yeah, we were so lucky, and we were having such good weather over here. I think sometimes wonder if we wasted it
You can do the
over
splits.
on Broad Peak.
How much money you want to bet? How many melon seeds you want to bet?
I'll bet all of Mike's melon seeds.
What are those crampons called?
Oh my. For posterity.
Oh, I can't really do it here, but
I don't think.
You're gonna blow out some pants. All right, well, you're designated bridge if there's crevasses that we can't walk across.
Alright.
Yeah, You just drop into the splits, we'll hop one step on you. I promise not to wear crampons, how about that?
People get very annoying there in my climbing wall because I basically just cheat. You're supposed to go up, I just do the...
He just stems up.
Split it out.
Yeah, split it out.
And he can.
K2 is looking beautiful today, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Misty. Mysterious.
It is.
Lethal, I think.
Mysterious.
Mr. Erius.
Really?
I'm just going to glissade at about 90 miles an hour. Throwing rocks?
Just throwing rocks in the line.
We're actually building a trail because as best we can tell, it looks like a section over here
It's the Upper Bolter at Public Works Department.
it's going to melt out. So rather than contend with that later, we're just taking care of it now on our rest day. How's it feeling? Dive for the far side?
So
Don't do it!
was this closer towards base camp?
Yeah.
So this is probably the next day, I'm guessing.
No, this is the end of the same day.
End of the same day, okay.
Yeah, we were just on our way back, and we got to talking about it. And I said, this will change so drastically. And so we were trying to pick like a really solid line to be able to use for the entirety of the climb.
Totally called that.
But
Rob and Ben putting in some practice fix line there. Where you can check out their system, see if it's dialed. Just a little practice, a little time to get out. I am skipping it.
You can really hear that water flowing.
yeah, that water got big by the end of the season. And it's so pure looking, you just want to drink it right out of the stream, but of course you shouldn't. So.
Right. Did that rock bridge that you guys made, did it end up being functional?
Yeah, it actually ended up holding down the fort for almost the entirety of the climb. So
It's kind of cool stuff.
3.5 weeks, pretty solid.
Cool Serac area. I just built this rock bridge right here because I know that this is going to melt out over time. So I figured it was best to just work on it now.
That one didn't hold up quite as well.
Put in the route to the base.
Side of the banks
Pretty
melted
nice.
out quite a
Better
bit
than
wider
that.
than that little bridge.
Ben pulling the straddle move.
So Rob and Ben were
Hello.
just putting in some practice fix lines for some of the clients to get on so they could see them firsthand using their ascender and managing their axes and crampons and making sure that
Lots more mountain.
they were going to be able to move efficiently on the fixed lines.
From there, the start goes a bit of a rising traverse up and over. Then there's a descent on the other side, and then you have to do a changeover down through an anchor, and then we're going to come back up it, and then back down here. And we're just going to be simulating all of the actions that you could possibly find on fixed ropes on the mountain. So there's a knot up there that you have
So
to
that
change
up
over.
bit on the other side, you think that's where I might need a smaller axe?
No. It's just more manageable rather than having that. So it's up to you. You can take that if you want.
Let me try with this.
Cool.
If it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
This thing's quite a handy little.
Cool. So what we'll do, we'll go up here, guys, and then I'll just pretend as though you guys haven't done anything on fixed ropes before, and I'll show you my system, a few little do's and don'ts about clipping anchors, and we'll go from there. It's pretty simple, really. Alright.
So Brian, you want to explain what's going on here? Typically on the show, what we've seen are, let's say, Ben Clark's expeditions, where it's him and a couple of friends who are, really experienced mountaineers and climbing partners. And so that's different from what you get on these larger commercial expeditions. Can you kind of explain the difference here?
It is. It's somewhat different as far as style, and it's somewhat different as far as the group that you're working with and so forth. because any mountain can be climbed alpine style, but we're doing basically more of a mountaineering siege style tactic where, we put in fixed camps and, move up and down through, situations repeatedly, especially when you get to the 8,000 meter peaks. It's pretty hard or pretty audacious to just move up all the time and move back down through fairly technical sections. So we put in what's essentially like a hand line or a fixed line, and if used properly, you should not be pulling on it or have to rappel on it much at all. But
you kind of want to strip down anything that just you really don't need. What you want in a fixed line system is redundancy. So obviously when you're changing over at anchor points, you always want to be clipped in. You never want to be unclipped from the rope. So you want to be able to clip in the 2 points, basically changing over. So things like ATCs, all this extra stuff on your harness, you probably just don't need it up there. Just as long as you've got a good descender, figure 8 of that sort that you can pass through a knot. Very important, ATCs, you cannot pass a knot. You have to basically, you can change over, it's quite easy, but if it's blowing a gale and your fingers are cold, it's a pain in the ass. So yeah, you want a good descender. Obviously you want to be solid with your munter hitch as a backup, as we have had people drop their munter hitch, their figure 8 and not know how to descend the rope. That can be very, very difficult and dangerous. So basically my system here, I'll just run over it really quickly. I have a cow's tail system, so one here is it's just on 6mm, and it's just girth hitched around the harness, pretty simple. It's good because I can actually do a quick visual check and make sure that it's not untied or it's not connected via a carabiner, so it's always pretty safe. I have to make sure that the carabiner is done up or it's come undone or anything like that. There's nothing extra in the system there to fail, it's just 6mm cord, which has a pretty good braking strength on fixed ropes. So what I have, just orientate this properly, is a locking carabiner on one side. Obviously this is my main safety point. Obviously we're going to clip in and going to do that gate up. Now on my other side here, the ascender is actually tied in. So again, eliminating another carabiner that could fail or you could forget that is done up. So that's pretty redundant, straight up like that. Now if we're going to do a straight traverse, probably wouldn't worry about putting the ascender on, just because if you take a fall, you really don't need the ascender there. You're not going to go anywhere really. So I've just got a wire gate there just for lightness. You could put another locker on. Again, clipping that, you can oppose those, doesn't really matter. Again, what we'll do here is just practice using our ascenders so we can get a visual on that. We're going to do, very good way to do this, clipping in the ascender, I'm actually going to, if you guys can see, take this locker off and clip it straight through there, like so. So that's actually holding the rope in the ascender there. So if I did fall, go upside down or some funky angle, it's not going to pull through, especially if I'm like on a 6mm line. So there were 6mm and thin lines up there last year that are quite icy. These are really only meant for 8, 10mm plus sort of thing. So that's quite redundant there. I've got that spare carabiner, I can slot that on there if I wanted to. Again, going up, always attaching before detaching. So just come up here, gonna get up to this anchor point. There, jugging on this line, you can jug straight on it. Right up to the anchor. You guys can go up a little bit, let's have a quick look. And again, really important, attach before detach. So before I take everything off, I'm going to clip straight into that line, ping over this ascender, clip that in, again, clipping back in, and you can do that gate up if you want, it's your personal choice really. And that's a easy changeover. I'm going to come up to a knot there, similar deal, just treat it as an anchor. When you're descending back down through it, again, do you have a figure 8, Tom? You've just got an ATC? Okay, so it's a little bit more complicated changing over. With the figure 8, you should just be able to pass it through. And there were actually knots on descent last year where they'd either joined ropes, double fishermen's, or they'd actually tied off a fraying part of the rope. So it is good to be able to just work that through, good practice. And once we get up there, we're going to do a descent, and we'll just run through that quickly when we get up there. So you guys want to start from the bottom there?
I like watching all of this stuff because, you know, I know, Brian, a huge portion of the audience
Make you famous on YouTube.
have never done anything like this before, and have never climbed before. They enjoy watching the expeditions on Everest and other of these large mountains, but they don't really know all of the technical aspects that go into it. They might see the ropes, might see people ascending the ropes, but they don't know all the nuts and bolts behind the technique. And so this is interesting to show.
You know how we said when you're going up?
Yeah, I think it's from doing slideshows and stuff too that I've learned a lot of the questions that people have asked me along the way, and so I try to include that in the video, you know, this being my first real foray. But I thought it was interesting just because, you know, some of these people might not have known this right off, and, you know, you're in a commercial expedition, and so knowing what people's skill sets are is paramount in order to manage, you know, their climbing on the mountain. So. And Mike had already climbed Everest. He's the tall South African there. Incredibly hilarious as well. But, you know, everybody, and that's the thing too, is like I have 10 books on avalanches, because if you learn one thing from one of them that maybe wasn't included somewhere else, you're that much more ahead of the game.
But for really thin ropes, 6 mil, and when they're icy, really, really good idea to do that. Because if you're pulling right back on it, it's actually good chance that it'll slip.
Yeah.
And that's
And
just going to catch
then
it.
your only thing is that you're going to be stopped at the next anchor point, which might be quite a long way back.
Yeah, 50 metres back down.
Yeah, that's I like that. That's good.
Do you have a leash for the axe?
Yeah, I do. It's wrapped around there.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's camp even. Your axe is camp.
Camp axe.
It's a camp.
Dun 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 dun. Mike blitzing through.
All right, well, we're going to carry on with this tutorial next week. In fact, I believe the entire episode next week is made up of the rest of this excursion here, kind of going through, kind of showing different techniques that make sure everything's fresh in everyone's mind for the climb ahead. So thanks as always, Brian. Always fun looking through this footage of yours.
It's fun to revisit every time. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
The Rest of Everest has been watched millions and millions of times all over the world since 2006, and it's all been free, but it's not free for me. If you're a fan, then let me know. You can like The Rest of Everest on Facebook, write a review on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, or even help me pay the bills with a financial donation. It doesn't take much, and quite literally, your donations make this show possible. They honestly pay for everything. You can make a one-time donation or set up a monthly contribution through my website. Help me out, and I'll give you a download of our film Everest: The Other Side, as well as some other goodies. Thanks as always to our announcer Marlon May from marlonmay.com, and to Wendy Wu for providing the show's theme song. Find her on iTunes or at wendywoo.com.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information about the show and upcoming expeditions, be sure to visit therestofeverest.com.